Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. It's going to be a very fun, interesting episode for all of you. We're going to be reviewing, of course, Tenryu Project. So, if you guys aren't familiarized with this promotion based out of Japan, it's run by Genichiro Tenryu, who is a pro wrestling legend and, of course, a promoter. And, of course, many of you may know the story that he was one of the earlier starts of the exodus of All Japan Pro Wrestling. But I'll talk a little bit about him. But, however, this has been announced as the retirement for Tenryu. This will be his last time actually participating in Korakuen Hall, which is, of course, a bittersweet. And we are going to see some awesome matches. And also, just to let you guys know, this event is broadcast by New Japan World. So, if you guys have that, you should check it out. And then finally, of course, we move on with NXT. As you know, we have begun for the commencement of deadline, but we haven't officially, of course, make it there yet. But however, of course, tempers players between Trick Williams and Ricky Saints over the NXT Championship. And as you all know, JZ Jane wants to reclaim the NXT Women's Championship from Tatum Paxley. And of course, we will hear from Melanie Jordan to explain her actions for what she caused against Jordan Grace at, of course, Halloween Havoc, I believe. So this is going to be a very interesting episode. And then, of course, we wrap up our episode as usual with a very short news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up. 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 Get up, get up.
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere the pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers. Let's get started with our very first review, and this one is from Tenryu Project. Alright, Tenryu Project, the Tenryu Genichiro retirement 10th anniversary event, Revolutionary Soaring. Now, for those who don't know what this promotion is, this run by, of course, the promoter Genichiro Tenryu. If you're not familiarized with him, Tenryu was a former wrestler, of course. He started out with All Japan Pro Wrestling when he worked under Giant Baba back in the 80s, I believe. But however, Tenryu made a decision that caused the first exodus of All Japan Pro Wrestling to form his own promotion called the Super Wrestling something, I believe. But however, that promotion actually lasted only 2 years. But Giant Baba made a swore that he will never work with him ever again. But of course, after his passing, his widow, Miss Baba, of course, brought him back. But however, things have changed with him. He decided to form another promotion that led, of course, to Tenryu Project. There have been some good talent in there. There has been wrestlers that we've seen. However, in recent years, Tenryu has suffered a very health issues. He's been confided in wheelchair. I don't know the extent of his medical condition, but he looks okay from what I can tell. But he's doing great. But luckily, in this particular show, New Japan Pro Wrestling decided to broadcast on demand, which is great to hear. Of course, there are some wrestlers from New Japan participating, and I'll get to that, of course, in a bit. Now, if you guys are not familiarized with some wrestlers, that's okay. If you probably are familiarized with those, good for you. You guys are following along. Now, our first match, of course, features Kazu, Kazumasa Yoshida and Nazuyuki Kono. They take on Suzuki Nagao and Kohei Sato. Now, I don't know much about these guys, but the match was pretty good. I have to say it was a pretty good opener. But the match ended with, of course, with Kono picking up the pinfall onto Sato. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now we have our next match, a 6-person tag team match. We have Koiki Iwazaki teaming up with Ayame Sazumura and, of course, Lady Destroyer Hiroyo Matsumoto. They take on Jun Masaoka, Mayuhiki, and, of course, the Queen of Hardcore, Dash Shizako. So, of course, there was going to be some interesting moments. But, however, if you guys are not familiarized, some of these ladies know how to wrestle against men. It's no secret on that one. But unfortunately, this match ended with Ayame applying a tiger suplex onto Mayuhiki. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our next match, we have an 8-man tag team match. We have Sushi Ayumu Honda, Shigehiro Iri, and Yashi. They take on Rei Paloma, Mizuki Wadaze, Hideyoshi Kawakami, and Kenichiro Ari. So basically, these are what happened. But it's interesting to see Shigeru Hiri on the opposite side of Mizuki Wadase. As you all know, those two have become tag team partners in the past, but now they're the opposite. But this match ended with, of course, with Kamitani applying a lariat onto Sushi, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Next match, we have a 3-way. We have Takuro Niki versus Yusuke Kodama, and versus Naoki Tanizuki. The match was pretty much okay from the very beginning, nothing too special, but when it comes to 3-ways, it's very hard to predict how this thing was going to end. But however, Kodama applied a low blow onto, of course, to Tanizuki, and just like that, he just pinned them. 1, 2, 3, it was over. But of course, Tanizuki tried to tell the referee, hey, he kicked me in the balls. But of course, referee didn't see a damn thing. But that's how life is. Now, our next match, we have Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Keita Yano. Not much who I know who this guy is, but however, Zack Sabre Jr., we all know who he is. A very amazing and, of course, decorated pro wrestler in the technical aspects. And, of course, you all know that he is determined to pick up the win. And that's exactly what he did when he applied the bridge onto Yano. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Our next match, we have a very interesting 6-man tag team match. We have Yuya Suzumu, Kengo Mashimo, and of course, Murder Grandpa, the King, Minoru Suzuki. They take on Hikaru Sato, Zuwama, and Shiru Koshinaka. So, of course, there are some wrestling legends involved, like Suzuki and Noshinaka. But, however, of course, we all need to steer clear from Murder Grandpa. But of course, many of you would have assumed that Minoru Suzuki was going to pick up the win, but nope, it was Suzumu with a submission, more like a crossface type, onto Hikaru Sato, and just like that, Hikaru Sato just tapped out. And that's all she wrote, folks. Now, our next match, our main event, is a tag team match. We have Shota Umino teaming up with Koji Iwamoto. Um, they take on Kengo and, of course, the Dragon, Shingo Takagi. So you know this match was going to be a brutal one. Many of us would have assumed that either Shingo or Shota Umino was going to pick up the win, but however, this led up to Iwamoto and Kengo to pick up the win. But in the end, it was Kengo that picked up the win when he pinned Iwamoto, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And of course, the event doesn't end there. Of course, we did see the man himself, Genichiro Tenryu, making his presence known in his wheelchair, making it all the way to the ring. As you know, he had to be helped to get there due to the fact of his mobility. But he was able to give it a promo. I don't even know what he said, but it's great to hear from him, and hopefully we get to hear more about him at some point. But as you know, he's probably calling it right from here, but it is a bittersweet. So as of right now, we are officially done with Tenryu Project. Let's move on with our last and final review, NXT. Okay, final review, NXT. As you know, we will be beginning, of course, with Deadline, but however, a lot of things are happening prior before that. Now, we opened up with a women's 6-woman tag team match. The calling consistent of Izzy Dame and the current NXT Women's Champion Tatum Paxley teaming up with Lola Vice after what happened last week. They will be facing the full force of the Fatal Influence, consistent not only the former champion Jay-Z Jane, of course, we have Fallon Henley, and the newest member, Lainey Reed. Now, of course, many of you would assume that Jay-Z Jane would do whatever it takes to find a purpose to reclaim the NXT Women's Championship, and that's exactly what she did. However, apparently Izzy Dame took the fall, but not realizing that she actually was taken out by Jay-Z Jane with the rolling encore, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. Of course, Jay-Z Jane picked up the win. But we did hear from Tatum Paxley along with Izzy Dame and the rest of the calling about how she felt responsible, that Izzy took the fall rather than her trying to protect herself. But things didn't go well. But we'll see what happens between them. Now, we did see, of course, the Grande Americano and his friends, the Los Americanos, making their presence known in the NXT locker room because, as many of you may know, Grande Americano is the current WWE Men's Speed Champion, and he will defend that championship next week against Jasper Troy. But however, their presence caused a lot of stir within the WWE, especially, of course, in the NXT Josh Briggs. So he said that he was going to deal with them one way or the other. So that's going to be coming up soon. Now, Li Yingling, as you know, many of you know her as a part of the TNA roster. Well, let's just say Lee is not too pleased with Melanie Jordan on how she defiled the championship by whacking, of course, Jordan Grace in the face. And she is determined to win that championship and bring it back to TNA. So that's going to be her purpose. Now, in the back, we did see Ren Sinclair having a chat with, of course, Kendall Gray, tagging along as Karma Petrovic and Tyra May Steele, because as you know, Kendall Gray successfully defended the Evolve Women's Championship against Lash Legend. However, their little get-together was interrupted by the TNA Knockouts World Champion, Kelani Jordan, and of course she's trying to make her presence known. So she made her way to the ring and discussed exactly what happened. Basically explains her actions. People, as you know, they cheered for Cody and for Dominic Mysterio when he used the belt, and people cheered. But when it's her, people actually, of course, booed her. And then, of course, she did address none other than Ling Yingling, and she's not determined to defend the championship, and that's pretty much it. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, Sarah actually conducted an interview with OTM, and she asked her what was their explanation for their actions. Well, there's, of course, obviously OTM, as you know from the very beginning, would love nothing more to obtain the NXT Championship, and they're sending a direct message to the entire locker room in the tag team division in NXT. But of course, they were, how do I say, brought in the welcome wagon by Oriah Connor and Dale Kale Dixon. And of course, Andre Chase decided to take matters in his own hands, try to solve this peacefully, but we'll see how things roll up from there. Now, our next match, we have Josh Briggs taking on Grande Americano. Now, of course, Grande Americano will have his cohorts, Los Americanos, being there helping him out. And of course, that's exactly what happened. But unaware to them, they got a very interesting assist from Tavion Heights. As you all know, Tavion Heights want nothing more to get his hands on Josh Briggs. But because of that, this led for Gran Americano to, of course, put Josh Briggs in a submission, and just like that, he tapped out. Now, Ava was having a conversation with Melanie Jordan, telling her she has no authority into the TNA Knockouts World Title. But of course, Melanie Jordan agreed with that. But she did have the authority to put her in the match against someone, and that person turned out to be the Tyra May Steele, and we will see that soon. Now, Ricky Saint was about to do a little video face-to-face conference with Trick Williams, but he bumped in, of course, to Miles Bourne. Now, of course, we did see those two talk about, of course, Ricky Saint saying that, the reason you didn't like me is because I had to work my way up in the bottom, but you, Trick, are obsessed. But of course, when it comes to these video face-to-face conferences, it gets out of control when the one person attacks the other, and that's exactly what happened. Now, our next match, we have the Women's Speed Title Tournament. As you know, Soruka had to relinquish the belt due to the fact that she's not medically cleared. So Zarya decided to step in, but her opponent is Ren Sinclair. But however, this match ended with Ren getting murdered by Zarya, and of course Zarya advances. But the real question is who will be joining her. That's something we will pay attention soon, because amongst them we have, of course, Fallon Henley and another person from the LFG brand. So we'll see for that. Now, our next match, we have Melanie Jordan taking on Tyra May Steele. Of course, people still talk about how she is nothing but a cheater and all that, but Melanie Jordan was successful in defeating Tyra May Steele with the one-of-a-kind, the leg split moonsault, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. However, during the post-match, Santino Marella decided to send out a video message to Melanie Jordan, telling her that in Gold Rush she'll defend the TNA Knockouts World Title against, of course, Jordan Grace, and of course, let me see what he mentioned. Oh yeah, a Yingling Lee, and that's gonna be a lot of fun to get to. Now, Soruka decided to have a little chat with Ava about, of course, the possibility of her returning due to the fact that she was not medically cleared, but we'll see what happens until then. Now, the young OG, as you all know, has been dealing with the dark state ever since they first started picking on him, due to, of course, him being a fellow North Carolinian, just like the Hardys. But however, Javon Evans had to kill Shaquam Sugar, and he took matter of his own hands. I mean, this match was already in the bag for the young OG, but however, of course, Dark State will do whatever it takes to interfere and make sure this match goes in their favor. But what's amazing is Javon Evans took out all 3 other members, Cutler James, Osiris Griffin, and Dion Lennox. But of course, he got a little bouncy with Javon Evans, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, we do see Blake Monroe, as you probably know. Ava, she tells her that she wants to defend the Women's North American Championship in Gold Rush. But however, Ava told her that she'll defend it against Soruka. But of course, Ava made a good valid point. Soruka never lost the belt. So basically, this is going to be an opportunity. So it could happen. Now, we did see, of course, Ethan Page and Chelsea Green. For those who have been paying attention, Ethan Page and Chelsea Green are the brand new AAA Mixed Tag Team Champions, which is the belt that consistent of a male and a female tag team. And of course, they were interrupted by Say His Name and he appears. Yep, Joe Hendry. And of course, Ethan Page presumed that Joe Hendry is after the North American title, but it turns out he had no interest of those. He was interested in the AAA, of course, mixed tag team belts that he wants them to be defended at Gold Rush. But of course, Chelsea Green was telling you have no partner. Well, it turns out he already found the perfect partner who will stand by him and say, we believe. And that person turned out, say her name, and she appears. I believe in Thea. Just like that. And of course, Thea hailed, pied both Alba Fire and Chelsea Green. And then, of course, Joe Hendry pied Ethan Page. I'm sure these guys are embarrassed. So this match will take place in Gold Rush. So I can't wait to see it. I'm sure many of you are excited for that too. So officially, we are officially done with NXT. So let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Alright, news updates. So we're going to keep this a bit shorter for all of you. Now, we only have one update on the upcoming events. As you know, we have Sareee-ISM Chapter 9 taking place on November 10th. And of course, the full card has been announced by none other than Scott Edwards on his YouTube channel, on his X account. And this is exactly what he put. Let me pull it up from here on my phone here. Yeah. So this is the card, and this is going to happen. We have Sareee will team up with Suzuki to take on Natsupoi, and of course, Big Hash herself, Chihiro Hashimoto. Then we have, of course, Mirai taking on Yuri. Then we have Hyoru Itu teaming up with Bozilla to take on Veni and Nightshade. Then we have Chichi and Miku Kane teaming up. They take on, of course, coming from Stardom, Rana Yagami and Akira Kurigani. And then finally, Yurika Oka will take on the newest wrestler who just came out in Sealing, I believe, Celine Misora. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So this will happen on this coming Monday, so stay tuned for that. Now, for some developments, many of you may or may not have been hearing, there's been talk about TV deals for TNA. Well, apparently they signed a multi-year contract with GLaDOS Sports, which is a channel that broadcasts in both Mexico and Latin America. So this is a huge thing for them. As you know, they've been talking about TV deals. We don't know for sure if they're going to have a much better TV deal here. So stay tuned for that. And then finally, Sareee was, of course, talking about her friend Natsupoi. Many of you guys know this. Sareee and Natsupoi have been best friends for a very long time. Even when Sareee went to the U.S., Natsupoi remained in contact with her, calling her on every major holiday, including, of course, birthdays and stuff like that. But she did said something about Natsupoi, saying Natsupoi is being kept captivity within Stardom. The true meaning behind that was that she wants to tell her best friend as a wrestler, I hope you come with me with full intent to crush me. So basically, she feels that she has not been the aggressive wrestler. Now, if you guys remember when she faced Konami in the match in the first round of the Grand Prix, Konami said that she hits hard. And of course, that's exactly who she is, and she hopes that Natsupoi will do that. But we'll just wait and see what happens. But as of right now, that's pretty much it what we have. And until then, let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have WWE Evolve and AEW Dynamite. As you all know, in AEW Dynamite, we are on the road to full gear. So a lot of things could happen when we get there. So buckle up on that. And if there's anything else, you guys will be to know. And now, if there's any news updates I might do by itself, I'll do that as soon as possible. But as of right now, we'll end things here. And I'll see you guys the next time. So, I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.